The goal is to create thriving communities. And that word, community, has power to it, doesn't it? It conveys a sense of belonging, of being supported, right? Ever wonder how communities are created and sustained?
What's the essence of an authentic community? And if the mistrust that we're experiencing is because our communities have increasingly become inauthentic, what would you do about it?
And the beauty of the theater and the art form is that it creates community and it builds empathy, because other than the theater and indeed places of worship, there are very few places where 1,100 people will come and gather in tacit agreement, turn off all of their devices and sit for 3 hours or 12 hours in somebody else's story.
And we're challenging, right, the status quo. And some people love the challenge and feel like their world's expanding as we open up the aperture, and other people feel like something's being taken away from them.
But there are collective demons. There are national demons. And every nation has a battle going on between its better angels and its worst demons. Whatever religion we are, we've got to counter the worst demons with whatever we believe are our better angels.
And you have one of the last places where we actually come together, where we catch each other doing things right, that where we see the humanity in one another, where we find love in relationship simply in seeing each other.
Community is a measure of health. Where there is no community, there is no health. We have more attentiveness to our cars and the maintenance of our cars than we do of our own personhood. So this is a big part of what whole person health is. And it's not a place. It's not a place where you get it. It's actually in you.
But I think what also happened is what we are saying, we started to think about healthcare more like a sick care. So we kind of like look at the body like a, car. And then we focus on the tires and the door handle and the windows. We don't even see the whole car, let alone, the human being.
We are stuck right now in a fee-for-service model, which means the more procedures or tests that you have done, the more profit motive there is, for a hospital. So the hospital is not real motivated or a clinician to keep you well because they make money when you are sick.
However, when you go and talk to the practitioners that choose a career pathway in these non-conventional modalities, such as acupuncture, massage therapy, health coaching, nutrition, they are still very much an outlier in the healthcare system. The moral injury for physicians now is also that I only get to spend 15 minutes with my patients, and there are 8 other things I needed to talk about, and now I feel like I'm not doing my job. They can't do what they would like to do if they had the time and the space to be the doctors that they want to be.
Then we go into the soil. That's the roots of the tree. And what is the soil made of? Micro, macronutrition, sleep, physical activity, community, where we are at emotionally, mentally, spiritually, putting that into the environment that we live in, right? Is the air clean? Is the water clean? Are there toxins in the soil? I mean, it all matters.
This symbolizes not only, what it is to be whole inside, but it's a flourishing of a movement. And I think we've made a lot of progress. And you've all had a big role in the transformational impact of my journey, and I want to salute that as well.
So this is just a trend line of how the word authentic leadership shows up in the academic literature. So this is, whenever an idea has that curve, an exponential curve in academics, is a very rare thing. It's very unlikely to have an idea take that kind of success. This is better than any business chart. I've very rarely seen any economic or stock price chart that looks like that. So when you look at this, you got to say, oh my God, what an extraordinary success.
Again, I think it's been an essential part of what you've been teaching over the year since you left the CEO and left Medtronic. It has all been about instilling in the younger generation, not just the capacity to be competent, but to stand for values, inner values, and have an alignment between your values and the values you want for the organization.
we're taking down the walls and telling them that if you let somebody see your heart and your soul, yeah, you might get hurt occasionally or so, but they will be inspired much more and be able to do much greater things as they move forward.
I think at the end of the day, authentic leadership really is, it's about meeting people where they are, plain and simple.
But then realize that teaching authentic leadership means you have to really go into that vulnerability space. And after 30 years in the military, that was a hard journey, but I recognize how hard that is for the participants that I now get to teach.
Watching the discourse get modeled between Bill and these young leaders, two of whom were young people of color, all of whom were sort of in different sort of fields, was extraordinary, and modeling for our current students the back and forth of risk taking and what does it mean if your identity sort of impact your ability to take a risk. How do you make mistakes in your sort of professional career? How do you kind of recalibrate those fallibilities, right?
Somebody said to me very early on, Scott, nobody cares what you know until they know who you are. Mm-hmm. And unless you start there, nobody's listening. This notion of self-awareness and figuring out from the inside who one really is in order to bring that forward, in order to create trust, in order for there to be inspiration, that was our sequence of thought about all this.
See, I don't think we connect through our strengths. I don't think we connect, say, wow, that person's the smartest person in the whole room. We don't really make an emotional connection. We connect through our vulnerabilities. And so when you all share your own vulnerabilities, when everyone does, that's how we connect as human beings.